I do, folks. How you doing? Just a quick one. I thought I would make this video. For one, it's been a while, hasn't it? I've had some family issues to be dealing with, so I haven't had the time or the mind space, to be fair, to make much of a video recently. But I have, as usual, as becoming usual, been prompted. This video, we're going to cover a little bit about your rights to travel, because the reality is, I got sent a video by somebody the other day, and it was saying I was kind of mentioned in the description of it, and it does kind of mention me. It mentions Unchained Remedy and your rights to travel, and it gives a link supposedly to my YouTube channel, which doesn't take you to my YouTube channel. But that's beside the point. This man or woman unknown to me who they are that's using my name is trying to tell you how you travel under your rights to travel. And they're kind of doing it but as a third party secured creditor. And it's absolute bollocks. They put the video up as if it's a good thing, but it shows somebody's actually locked up, as they're saying, no, no, he has insurance and it comes through us as third party secured creditor. Fuck off. You don't need somebody else to travel under your unalienable rights to travel. You just need to know what you're doing. You need to have noticed the right people, and you need the balls to do it. You got to understand that we live in a corrupt world, a corrupt society with a corrupted law, which means that they subvert the law basically, and they work under this legal, which is legislation. This applies to the dead entity. You're the man or woman. So knowing who you are and being tenacious enough to put your head in the lion's mouth is what it takes. Now, I've got a couple of things to show you. I mean, the main thing I'm going to show you is the fact that, and it rebuts what a lot of people say. I've heard so many people going, there's no case law on rights to travel. And basically, they're just trying to fish it out of people. Tell me, show me, bring to me the case law. Well, fucking look it up yourself, you twat. Not you guys, but the ones whining. They whine that there's no case law, and there absolutely is case law, and I'm going to show you the case law in a second. But the reality is, you need to know who you are. You need to know that you're not a person. This personage, it does not apply to the man and woman. And knowing who you are and being able to stand on that and absolutely being able to stand your ground is the all important factor. If you're going to fold at the first sign of a bit of pressure, then this game isn't for you. If you're not understanding the fact that it's a criminal enterprise, a criminal entities that are coming for you, the police, they're a private for-profit corporation. It's working in the legal realm against persons, not against men and women. So you need to know this, you need to comprehend it, you need to stand on it, and you need to have the tenacity and, like I say, the balls to face them. You've got to put your head in the lion's mouth, as it is. But the reality is, I'm going to go on to a bit of case law here and show you. I'll put it up on the screen as a shared screen. Why the hell not? So you can see it. This is a case law on your right to travel, the ever elusive case law, which so many people will tell you does not exist. You've got R.V. Donovan, 1934. This is at the King's Bench. Here's all the details of exactly where it is. On delivering the judgment of the Court of the Criminal Appeal, Swift J. said, if an act is unlawful in the sense of it being itself a criminal act, it is plain that it cannot be rendered lawful because the person to whose detriment it is done consents to it. No person can license another to commit a crime. Now, making that point that driving without government documents, license, etc., cannot itself be criminal, as the government licenses these acts, and therefore it can't be criminal, can it? If they could license it, it couldn't be a crime. They can't license a crime. You've got Randall v. Tarrant, 1955, where Lord Evershed, M.R., said, the rights of members of the public to use highway to use the highway are prima facie rights of passage to and from places which the highways adjoin. You've also got Ex parte Lewis, 1888. This is the Queen's Bench division, where Wills J. said, in regard to public right of passage, the only dedication in the sense that we are aware of is that a public right of passage of which the legal description is right for all Her Majesty's subjects at all seasons of the year freely at their will to pass and repass without let or hindrance. Again, case law. Now, these two in yellow, these are American, but hey, why not? There's some folks in America listening here, and I would stick them in also. It covers it as well. Ex parte Dickey versus Davis. Every citizen has an unalienable right to make use of the public highways of the state. Every citizen has full freedom to travel from place to place in the enjoyment of life and liberty. People versus Not House. No state government entity has the power to allow or deny passage on the highways, byways, nor waterways. Transporting his vehicle and personal property for either recreation or business, but by being subject only to local regulation, i.e. safety precaution, traffic lights, speed limits, etc. Travel is not a privilege requiring a license, vehicle registration, or forced insurances. Now, I'm not really buying into this. You have to abide by speed limits, traffic license, traffic speed limits, traffic lights, and their safety cautions, because basically their safety, all of their safety, is pretty much based on income, isn't it? So it's based on taking money from you, from the transgression. So I don't really go for that, but there is American case law. Now, that is absolute case law on right to travel. Now, like I say, you've got plenty of people saying there isn't case law. You've just seen it yourself. There absolutely is case law. Whether you use that, whether you've got the balls to use that or not, is another story. It doesn't mean you can just get behind the motor, the wheel of the motor, and hit the roads and not give a shit. It really doesn't. You have to, and you really do have to serve notice on the correct entities. Now, the correct entities, you can expand the correct entities. I've served myself loads of people, not just the ones necessary, but initially you got to have the Minister of Transport. I would go the Secretary of State. You got to go with the police commissioner. I would also go with your local police chief. You've got to deal with the fact that you are liable, and you have to accept and understand that you are liable. When you go out on the road in your motor, you think you can do what you want. You don't need to give a shit. If you hit somebody else, you yourself are causing harm, possibly injury, and certainly loss to somebody else. That is the common law that this country is actually governed by. You can't think that you can go out there, cause a crash, and not be liable. But by the same respect, nobody can hold you liable for something that hasn't happened. So if you're in your motor traveling along and minding your own business, you haven't had an accident, you're under no liability or obligation whatsoever to have insurance or road tax or an MOT under the law as a man or woman. You'll notice that there's no term of man or woman in legislation. That's just for the dead entity, the legal fiction. So a little bit of knowledge is required, and it isn't as simple as going to somebody, having them declare you're under their wing, and them telling you that they're a secured party creditor. That's absolute bollocks. Are they going to pay out if you crash into somebody, if you kill somebody, and the court awarded the other party £1 million? Are they going to pay that out for you? Damn sure they're not. So just be very wary of others that are telling you these things. The most important thing with travelling under your rights to travel, and any issue with the law, in all honesty, is your comprehension of what you're doing. You can't just think that because somebody wrote you a template, you can get out there and do what you want. It doesn't work that way. Not only the law doesn't work that way, the world doesn't work that way. And you have to understand that. However you want to take this word understand, I talk in plain, simple English. Now, when I say the word understand, I'm meaning comprehend. I don't go into this inner stand, overstand, and fucking up your arse stand. I don't talk like an idiot. I talk in plain, simple English. All words are defined by me. I define my words. If you want to redefine my words, then it's your mistake. It's your problem. I don't need to constantly kiss anybody's arse and butter up to the ones who want to talk like idiots. You talk how you want, and obviously, if you want to talk as in a stand and overstand and up your arse stand, like I say, it's entirely up to you. I don't subscribe to that shite. I talk how I've been taught to talk, and how my language, my verbiage has just evolved over the years. Like I say, I don't need to avoid certain words. There are times when I do avoid those sort of words. When I'm dealing with officialdom, when I'm actually talking or writing to officialdom, then yes, I would avoid those words. Not because I'm concerned they're going to twist my words. I don't really care. As I say, I talk in plain, simple English. But when I'm talking to those, I try, and I don't hold myself to account on it, but I do try to make sure there is no avoidance of doubt, or for the avoidance of doubt. I don't want to leave them any doubt. Occasionally I may slip up because we're all indoctrinated into using this terminology that they would hold a second meaning to. But like I say, I define my words. I don't need somebody else to define them, and I won't allow anybody else to define them. If anybody wants to redefine my words, then they're their words, and they should be liable for all fines and forfeitures that come from that. It's not me saying that, and I'm quite clear on any documentation that I put forward that I do speak in plain, simple English. So, folks, just look after yourselves. Be very, very careful of false prophets, the profiteers, the ones that really don't know what they're talking about. Now, by profiteers, I do earn a keep off this. I bring a keep in. I not on my rights to travel, on the things I do, such as writing private trusts and writing the evidence to express your status, or to evidence your status. This is something that I do put a fee on. The reason I put a fee on it is because it takes all of my time, literally all of my time, days and nights, ongoing for years. And I didn't used to charge a fee. I used to do everything I do for absolute free. Now, when I did it that way, it just led to a whole load of energy vampires believing that equitable consideration doesn't exist, and I should literally be handing over my entire day's minutes for nothing. It doesn't work that way. I could have walked away an awful long time ago, and possibly should have walked away a long time ago. But what I do and the way I charge ensures that I don't have to. So I am still here, although just recently I will say that my email went down. It was down for a few days. Presumably some fuckery somewhere, but no guarantees on that. You never know. But it is up and running again now. I'm an absolute technophobe, so when it goes down, I'm at the whims of somebody else to fix my shit. Which luckily I got a good friend who fixed my shit. It did take a few days to get back up and running, but anybody who was getting their emails bounced back, it shouldn't happen anymore. So just be aware of that. But I just wanted to clear up, like I say, there are a lot of folks at the minute using and abusing other folks' names and other folks' processes, and twisting them out of proportion as well. So when somebody uses my name for something that I do, just double check that it is something that I've done, because there are people out there that will take what I do, twist it, like I say, make it absolutely useless, and then put it out there on the back of it being me. Well, if it's been altered, or if it's not following what I would say and what I would say you need to do, then be very aware, or beware. You've got to be careful of these people. There are a lot out there at the minute. Some of them are just jumping on the bandwagon, like I always say, for shits and giggles. They want the attaboys, the pats on the backs and the thumbs up and the likes and subscribes and all that shit. I don't subscribe to any of that. I'm just me. Here I am. I'm having a chat. I've got something to tell you. I'm going to tell you. And then once I've told you, I'm off onto the next thing. I'm too busy to piss about, and I'm too busy to care who's going to subscribe and not. I've met some fantastic folks. There's some fantastic folks that listen to me, and I've just been speaking to somebody just a little while ago who was telling me how much my words have helped. So I do appreciate that, and if I have helped anybody, absolutely fantastic. I don't need the pats on the backs. But it is nice to know that I am reaching some folks every now and again. I don't really do this sort of thing where I walk people through the processes anymore. I used to do it. I used to make videos for hours and hours. In the olden days, I used to do probably 5-hour videos, and everybody used to complain at the length of the video because all masses and masses of really important shit in there and going right into detail on the processes and how you needed to do it. But you had to sit and watch 5 hours, 5 hours to get the information out of it. But it was concise, it was all in there. And as well as that, as you know, I can have a chat. So I was having a chat as well. So, and I used to have other people on there, and we used to chit chat and chew the fat, and it used to digress into a million different angles and avenues, as I do when I chat. So yeah, I can imagine when somebody wanted specifics on a process and get in there, and then we start having a bit of a babble in the middle. It could be a bit frustrating, but like I say, I don't do that anymore because, in all honesty, it was turning me into one of those guys who have to care about the YouTube channel. And now I don't care about my YouTube channel. And that's not anything against you guys. I don't care about it because I've learned so easily through experience that they will take it away without any warning whatsoever. Without a blink of an eye, it's gone. Or in a blink of an eye, it's gone. Somebody will just message you saying, "Hey, where's your YouTube channel? I can't get on there." And then I'll have a look and fuck me, it's not there. Then I get a message from YouTube saying they've taken down the channel, basically for telling a few truths that they don't want slipping out. But when you sit there worrying about is your channel going to be taken down, you can't really say it how it is, or you have to start being careful or very creative. Now, there's some great guys out there that are careful and creative and still get the message out there. Well, I'm not one of them guys. As you know, I just say it, and I say it how it is. As it's there, it comes out there, and I don't give a shit or need to give a shit. If I don't care about the channel, I don't need to care. If the channel goes down, get in touch with me on one of the other mediums, and I'll let you know where the next channel is. I've got Wonky World on Facebook, really difficult to find. So I'll put the link in the description on this video because they hide everything I do. So you're not gonna search it out by putting Wonky World in there. That's a group for shits and giggles and just chit chatting, a bit of truth in and a bit of bollocks. And people put all sorts in there. So sometimes it is total not a bollocks, but it's usually entertaining all the same. So join up that by all means. I am there. It's always a way of getting in contact with me and finding out where I've gone if they do take my shit down. There's also a backup group, which is advertised at the top of that one, which you can get to. I do have other groups, but they're generally private groups that I have for specific reasons and purposes. So I don't really give those out. My email address is always in the description of the videos, so you can always contact me. Unfortunately, I don't read other people's work. So if you're writing pages and pages of something and thinking you're sending it me to just check, I don't have the time for that. And I'm not being shitty. It used to rule my life. So many people send the paperwork in all the time saying, "Can you just check this and make sure it's okay?" That it would take me hours and hours and hours that I don't have every single day to deal with all of those. So sorry, I can't. Now, as far as private trust is concerned, I give full aftercare on all the trusts I write. Anybody needs any questions answering, I give those answers. Anybody needs some of my time, you get that time from me. But I cannot give aftercare for a trust you've got somewhere else. Now, I've mentioned before that some people do come along, get a trust from me, and then just start selling it out there and fooling people to believing that they've got a trust. They've got pieces of paper, and without the knowledge to back it up, that's all they've got. You do need somebody to be able to advise you. As simple as I make my trusts to run yourself, and I do make them so you can run them yourself and you can handle them and make all the changes you need to yourself without ever coming back and paying me money to do that. But I am always there. You do need somebody there for you. If somebody's trying to sell you a trust and they can't answer your questions, run a mile. Now, I know there are other trust writers out there, and I'm not saying I'm the only one. You can only come to me. Go to anybody that you trust. But for starters, make sure they're being truthful with you. Should due diligence, make sure that they can answer all of your questions about the trust and about their trust, the trust that you're going to receive, about how to control that trust. What hidden extras are there with that trust? Are they able to give you the aftercare that you require with your trust? These are all really, really important things. So ensure that you get that. And with the processes, any processes you get in, beware of templates. And this is a really serious warning. I've written hundreds and hundreds of templates over my years. And the problem with templates, they used to work a treat. They really did. You could send a template off, they just bugger off, or you'd send one more level when they tried to get in touch with you. It don't work that way anymore. The system kind of realized that everybody was sending templates in. And when you send these templates in, they kind of realized that you didn't know what the fuck you was talking about. And sometimes you just grab the template from the internet and you don't know who's wrote it, and you don't know anybody that you can advise you on what happens when they rebut it or attempt to rebut it. Usually it's blah, blah, blah bollocks that they'll just feed you. And that's enough. If you don't understand your template, if you can't stand on it, you can't comprehend what you've sent to them, then that's usually enough to throw you right off your kilter. And if you can't stand there and respond to them after they've got their response, then you're done. And they know this, and that's why they work on that principle. If they do respond, they blah blah. There's no such thing as a full and clear, non-misleading, disclosured response, which is what they should be giving you. They don't do that. They blah blah you, and you need to be able to stand up and stand your ground and not be budged. Unfortunately, if you've just picked up a template, like I say, that can't always be done. I'm not saying no template will ever work. Template with knowledge, if you comprehend what it is you've sent in, but most people just get a template, send it off, and don't even read it. I've seen people send it off absolutely as the template, with the place where you're supposed to put your name in still with X's. So they've sent nothing off but blah blah themselves. So, like I say, templates don't always work, but when they do, it's because you have learned what it is that you're sending them. You fully comprehend what you're saying, and you're able to respond to them. Now, not everybody you get a template off has the time to deal with your responses. I don't. If you take one of my old templates that's in Wonky World, for instance, there's loads of templates in the file section. They're old templates from when it used to be more of a law group, but the file section still exists, and there's some great templates in there. But if you send it off and you don't have a clue what the hell you sent off, and then they come back to you with a load of blah blah, and you're, oh, I don't know what the hell to do, you come running back to me, and I haven't got the time to then write the next stage for you. So this is why you have to comprehend what it is in there. I am immensely busy, as many folks are in these times, these wonky times. So I haven't got the time to deal with other people's issues and read other people's documents, and I may come across as a bit blunt when I say no when I'm asked to do this, but that's because basically I haven't got time in my day to deal with what I have to deal with. So my head's already whirling. It's like, oh my God, they expect me to read that shit. So just be aware. You do need your own comprehension. And what I try to do mainly is get your head working straight, as opposed to sit here and explain the processes and hows and whats. I'm more interested in getting your heads working straight. Like I say, I used to spend hours and hours explaining the processes, but if your head's not working straight, you haven't got a chance in hell of those processes working. If your head's working straight, you can work out yourself what it is you need to do when given the information. I don't mean you can pluck the information out your arse and just start working with it and know what you're doing, but you can certainly work with information received and comprehend it. And if you can't comprehend the information you receive, you need to look a little further, read it again, listen to it again, whether you're listening on YouTube or whether you're reading something over and over again until it starts to make sense. When it starts to make sense, then you can start thinking about using it. But if it doesn't make sense, don't use it. That's the most important advice I can give, because you're the one ultimately that takes the consequences of these assholes that are just going to feed you bollocks and send you down the road into a pile of shit. And I don't want to see people getting into trouble, especially through following idiots. So basically, like I say, due diligence, I always say it and I always mean it. And the reason it's so important is exactly what I've just said there. The consequences are always yours. You listen to some idiot who's just put some information out there that they heard once, then there's no consequences to them. They walk away absolutely clean hands ish, because all they did is put a video out there and for shits and giggles, thinking that they get the pats on the backs and getting called a legend and all the cocksucking fucking feelings they get from it. It's bullshit. I don't subscribe to it. I always say to people, don't put me on a pedestal. I am scared of heights. I don't want to be up there. I'm just a fella who learned some shit, and there's nothing that I've learned that you can't learn. You've only got to apply yourself, get the information. Most important, verify that information, follow it through. Don't just do something because somebody said it. Lots of people out there really sound good when they're blowing smoke up your arse and telling you how you're free to do whatever the hell you want. Be very, very careful of these people. Always do your own due diligence. Make sure that they do know what they're talking about. Make sure that you can't always make sure. Sometimes it's just information on a video. But if you can't verify it and you can't be sure it's true, don't follow it. I don't say don't store it. Store that information. I've always, literally always, got a book at the side of me ready to write down information that I hear, read, or whatever. And you only need to, when looking at a YouTube video, you only need to have that book at the side of you and write down the timestamp to important points. And then after, just flick through them timestamps and write it all down. That's if you don't want to keep pausing. Otherwise, just keep pausing and write down the important bits. You don't need to watch a video, let it go, and then months later be wondering, what was that? What did I hear once? Have it always written down. You can always refer back to it. And these books that you collect over time become real interesting reading, because there's so much that you'll scribble down and not revisit. And then every now and again, go through your book and just look and you'll be, wow, I had that information all along. Store things that are interested as well. Interesting. Download information. If you read something that's really good or sounds really good, download it, put it in a file, try and build a database, get a pending file so you get shit put in there until it's verified, and then put it into another file, a sub file, whereas you can head specific files for specific things. I mean, ultimately, you end up with a fucking maze that only you can go through. Like me, I've got so much information on my hard drive that nobody could find anything specific if I told them how to find it. It's like a spider's web, but I know my route through my files section and my database, so I can find what information I require. But as well as that, there's shit in there that's been there for years that I haven't looked at, and every now and again I look at things and slap myself because it's been in there all along. So do keep revisiting your stuff every now and again, and check that you're up to date and in your mind as well as on paper. But this is all about getting your mind working straight, because the law is the law. Legislation is legislation. They're two totally different things. Legislation is commerce. The legal is commerce. It's for profit, and they are profiting off you. The law is very, very clear, and it's quite concise. Legal isn't law. So learn the difference and learn to stand on the law as opposed to the legal. And don't get wrapped up with the legal. Don't allow them to wrap you up in it. Don't let them keep pulling you into that world. If they do pull you into that world, learn how to fight that. Learn how to stand your ground. Don't concern yourself too much. And most of all, lose the fear. The fear of the legal. It's all consent. When they send somebody to prison, it's with your consent. You don't realize it's with your consent. When they issue your fines, it's with your consent. You've fucked up somewhere along the way. If you haven't and they still do it, then they've committed a tort against you. You can get redress on that. So then you need to learn how to get that redress. You need to learn where to take that. That's the highest courts of the land, the high courts, the Queen's Bench and the Chancery Division of Queen's Bench, depending on what it is. If it's a breach of trust, it'll go into Chancery. Most other things will go into the Queen's Bench. But these are the high courts. These are the courts that can be held in equity, that can actually hear you in equity, that can hear the man and not the person. They have to confirm first that they accept that you're the man or the woman and not the person, if you know what you're doing and you know how to hold them to account. So yeah, it's all knowledge. Don't be afraid of getting your nose to the grindstone. Work at it, learn some shit. It's worth it. It may take an age to get to the point you want to be, but it won't take an age to learn the bits you want to learn. You've just got to realize what it is that you want to learn. You got to realize that most of the bullshit is just white noise, making sure you don't learn exactly what you want to learn, and learn to focus that out and focus down on what it is you want to learn. Repetition. What you want to learn is probably written within one script, one piece of paper, one bit of legislation, which will show you how you get redress as a man and woman, because that applies to the person. That means it's not applying to you. So when you actually read something, read the important bits over and over again, memorize certain sections, write it down. Here's a really important thing, as well as having it for future reference. Writing something down solidifies it in your mind. If you hear it on a YouTube video and you let it go, within a week, you forgot what YouTube video you was even watching, never mind what the exact information was. So make sure you do make your notes and revert back to them. So anyway, a bit of blah blah at the end. I just hope I've cleared a few things up for folks, and especially on the right to travel. I don't want people, you do have the right to get in your motor and travel under your rights to travel, but I don't want people to hear that and believe that they can just go and get in the motor and travel under their rights to travel. Chances are you've got a driving license, you've subjected yourself to that contract, you've consented to that contract. That contract states that you must adhere to the Road Traffic Act. The Road Traffic Act states that you must identify yourself as the driver when the police pull you over and ask you who you are. And this is all the person, but you've contracted as the person. You need to learn you're not the person. Sole authorized representative, maybe sole agent of, however you want to terminize yourself. Terminize. You're the beneficiary of the person also. It's a trust. You are the beneficiary. So learn this, learn who you are, and learn to stand on it. It's most important that you learn who you are and learn to stand on it, not just get some information and decide to go off half-cocked and get yourself into shit. The last thing any of us genuine ones out there want is to see you in the shit. So learn. learn, apply yourself. It is all out there. The knowledge is all out there. You've just learned now there is case law on rights to travel. Utilize that, but get your head straight. Don't just look for a template. Get your head straight. Learn how to utilize the case law and learn how to stand on it before you do it. Make sure you've told literally everybody or all entities concerned that you're going to do it, not just doing it, you're going to do it. Give them pre-warning, give them an opportunity to tell you can't, and explain to you with full and clear non-misleading disclosure why you can't do it. That's the most important thing. If they can't, then they're accepting you can do it. Put a fee schedule on that shit. So now hold somebody to account. Everybody that you've actually served notice on, hold them to account. Serve them to a man or woman standing in the capacity as the Transport Minister, the First Lord to the Treasury, the Secretary of State, but just hold somebody to account so you can go back, you can get redress. And like I say, the most important thing, comprehend what you're doing. Learn and know what you're doing is right. Let your brain absorb the fact that this is an unalienable right. They cannot prevent you from doing it. They use the color of law, not the rule of law. It's the force of law they use. That isn't the rule of law. Only stand under the rule of law. Don't stand under the force of law. That's force, police force. There's no rules in force. That's subversion of the law. So learn the law, or the bits that pertain to the aspects of law you want to stand under or stand on, and do the right thing. That's pretty much it for today. So I hope this video has been a little bit more useful than others, a little bit different setting, again, back in the man cave. But I wanted to utilize this. I'm terrible. I'm a technophobe, I tell you. So there is no editing and there's no adding things in. So that's why I've utilized this Zoom recording, so I can do it through here, and I could put that up on the screen and show you the actual case law. It's there. It's immortalized for as long as the YouTube channel stands anyway. Once it's gone, it's gone. No coming back to me saying, have you still got that video? The answer is no. I don't keep these videos. This one might sit on my computer because I've done it on my computer. Normally it's on my phone. They stay there until my memory's full, and then I just delete them all because I don't need to care. This is in here. Get it into your head. So, like I say, it's comprehending the knowledge, but it's thinking straight. If you're thinking straight, you won't make as many mistakes. You're not infallible. I'm not infallible. We all make mistakes. We can all be caught out. Shit can happen to every single one of us. But forewarned is forearmed. Learn. Get that knowledge in there. Think straight. Utilize it correctly. Stand on it. Stand firm, and don't be budged. Best advice in the world. Anyway, folks, have yourselves a fantastic day, night, evening, whatever time of day you're watching this. And I'll catch you again soon. Have a good one. Ta-da.